This NTV Business Now. My name is Malcolm Sime. This week on the show, we bring you to Switzerland, where Uganda is participating at the BAN Expo, a premium event on the invitation of Uganda's permanent mission here to see how Uganda is selling its tourism, but also participating in economic and commercial diplomacy. Also on the program, we talk insurance because Marsh and OLEA Insurance Holdings have merged and facilitated the exit of Marsh Insurance, which is exiting Uganda and Botswana. And we will bring you the good news of what will be happening in that industry. Also, coffee and gold competing as Uganda's foreign exchange earners. And this time, gold has surpassed coffee as Uganda's top foreign exchange earner, earning that title. This is Business Now. When we come back, we take a look at some of the stories dominating debate in global markets.
The BAN event, where we are, government has made it possible for us to make a presence and make a difference for the first time ever.
The Marsh clients, or the Marsh clients who were formerly existing are now currently being serviced by OLEA Uganda.
World Economic Forum 2026 wraps up amid global dialogues and tensions. The World Economic Forum's 56th annual meeting concluded last week in Davos, drawing a record 3,000 leaders from 130 countries to tackle cooperation in a divided world, with US President Donald Trump retracting Greenland threats, AI job warnings from the International Monetary Fund, and calls for resilient trade amid geopolitical strains. For African countries, Davos 2026 underscores a pivotal moment for the continent's integration efforts, with pilots new global economic models, fostering industrialization and inclusive prosperity if supported by education investments, skill development, and public-private partnerships. East Africa forecast to lead Africa's growth in 2026 with 5.8% GDP expansion, UN reports. East Africa is projected to be the continent's fastest growing sub-region in 2026, with GDP growth accelerating to 5.8%, up from 5.4% in 2025, according to recent United Nations reports from the UN Economic Commission for Africa and related assessments. The sub-region outperforms the broader African average of 4.0% growth expected in 2026 amid a solid but cautious fundamental outlook despite global trade uncertainties, geopolitical tensions, and climate risks.
Welcome back to Business Now, and as I told you earlier, we are in BAN. We brought you to Switzerland, where Uganda is trading big things on a special invitation from the Uganda permanent mission here. Ambassador Arthur Kafero invites us to see how Uganda is selling and what the experience has been on the previous expos. Talk to us about the BAN Expo and why you decided to spend money here, and whether the taxpayer is getting value for money.
Thank you, Malcolm, for having me. It's important for Uganda to be present in BAN and in Switzerland in this big way. The BAN event, where we are, government has made it possible for us to make a presence and make a difference for the first time ever. Switzerland has 3 major tourism events. BAN is one of those events. We've been here for 3 days now, and already we're feeling the impact. This is where you come to make yourself visible. And our message is clear and simple. Uganda is authentic. Uganda is a perfect getaway, and come to Uganda to have a broad experience and immerse yourself in a possibility that you've never felt or had in your life. And it's touching people. People are coming. Never before has this happened. And our messages are important for this particular market. We're talking about the wildlife. We're talking about adventure tourism, sports. The Swiss are well known for hiking. They like mountaineering. These are things that can be done in Uganda. They like authentic cuisine, culture. We have it all in Uganda. Coffee. We are offering coffee tasting on our booth here. Coffee is a major traded good in Switzerland. This is the home of coffee trade. So we have the kind of areas that attract travelers from this country.
Before you talk about trade, because we'll come to that, tell me about our potential. Because we have unique products. When they come in here, when you visit some of the, you can see tour operators, you've brought them here to explain. And I've also noticed that this time you have added another dimension. You have translators. You have spent on translators, which I want to believe is not cheap. How important is the language element?
We started by trying to understand the market. You have to understand the demographics of this country. The way Switzerland is, the demographics of this country, you have a part that is predominantly German speaking, you have a part that's predominantly French speaking, a part that's predominantly Italian speaking, and the more you realize that and you can speak to that reality, then you can start communicating with this important market. And that's what we've done. We have to invest to make sure, for instance, if we are going to have tourists from Switzerland, to have the capacities so that we have people in Uganda who can communicate with them. So we should encourage the learning of these languages, and that will encourage, because people then will talk about it also. When you go to Uganda, you can communicate. Yes, they're lovely people, but they can communicate in languages that you can speak as well.
I see a lot of cross-selling. How much more companies, tour companies, do we need to support to come or go into other countries as well as African countries and Europe, so that they can sell brand Uganda?
So what we've done here is provide a platform. Government is providing a platform, enabling environment, so that those tour operators who do not have the means can come and be part of us, part of this. And I can tell you from what you have observed from yourself, around this booth, the tour operators that have come are making huge business. Now, why is that important? These are the people who speak to the other tour operators, speak to the clients themselves, and get them to visit Uganda. So while we can focus on other elements, the infrastructure, the peace and the security.
Away from tourism, really, I know your office is handling quite a large size of business for country Uganda. You're not just selling destination Uganda or the attractiveness of the country, but there's also trade happening on the other end. And what is the feeling here about investing in our country?
Uganda is a very interesting country for the Swiss, and it is for a number of reasons. Uganda has critical areas that the Swiss are interested in, which are in line with our ATMs. And as a mission, we've decided to focus just on a few of the ATMs where we have the space and the opportunity to make a difference. One of them is agri-industrialization.
And I saw the presenter there showing vanilla, the gardens. I was surprised.
Exactly. So coffee and cocoa, the largest coffee processing and trading globally takes place in this country. Now, part of the priority that we're making is to engage with key investors in this country to not only expand the market, but also interest them in value addition in Uganda.
Yeah,
and we are
chocolate.
And we are keenly encouraged by the conversations that we are having. As far as coffee is concerned, more than half of the coffee that is exported from Uganda ends up on this market.
Ends up in Europe, yeah.
That tells you how significant Switzerland is for Uganda.
So they've been appreciating the taste of our coffee. I've seen them personally saying,
absolutely,
this is good coffee.
So the reason we have coffee tasting here in our booth is to use coffee as part of our selling point. We're saying, this is a home of this fabulous coffee that you taste, that you enjoy, that you love so much. If you want to know where this coffee is grown, where it is processed, come to Uganda. But at the same time, we're also using it to attract and speak to investments that are possible in the coffee sector. And that's why part of our work here is to work with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. That has been a very important partner in the process that we are making. And the same thing applies to cocoa. So we're talking to key actors here in Switzerland to make that possible. So as far as business is concerned, we think that we can focus in some of these areas on agribusiness, industrialization, value addition, expanding these markets, and the opportunities are huge. Minerals, if we go back to the mineral side, gold is also the largest gold trading area. So there are lots of opportunities there for us since gold now is ranking high in our exports. There are opportunities there. I mean, for the hospitality industry, Swiss hospitality is well known. We have Ugandans who are already training. Part of the conversations we are having with at a bilateral level is to see how we can have more Ugandans getting part of the Switzerland experience, tapping into these capacities here. And it has a connection to the service sector that we're talking about, because we have to have a service sector that speaks to the times. If we are to get and interest the Swiss and this economy into Uganda, we have to make sure we have the right people doing the right things.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Arthur Kafero, for talking to Business Now on NTV Business. And that's it. As we wait on the Europeans to come and spend money in our markets, and that's Business Now. This is Business Now. Let's talk insurance, because Marsh Uganda has completed its merger fully with OLEA Uganda. OLEA Uganda will continue handling the business of Marsh in Uganda as it exits Botswana and Uganda markets. I spoke to Fiona Magezi, the Managing Director of OLEA Uganda, to tell us what's new in this arrangement, how Ugandan consumers will benefit, and because she tells me that all policyholders who had been handled by Marsh are now going to continue being handled by OLEA. They also have special offerings. Fiona Magezi next. Let's have a sit down here on Business Now.
So OLEA is an insurance brokerage firm. And when we speak into insurance brokerage, what we do is that we go out there, meet our prospect, or our client, or our customer. We speak into them, speak into their business, understand what challenges they face. And once we understand what challenges they face, we look into the challenges that can be catered for or be accommodated within insurance. Once we understand which particular challenges can be responded to by insurance, then we are able to tailor an insurance policy that these clients can be able to take up. And why they are looking at investing within Uganda, I would say it's because of three major reasons, or what we would call the OLEA 3 T's. And when we're looking at that, the first T that I was speaking to would be territory. And like I said, OLEA is Pan-African. So when we look at territory and them being within 26 countries now, as of 2026, that is the spread they are trying to look out into, them being able to exist on the African continent, because that is their target, that is their market that they're looking at. Their market is purely Africa. The Marsh clients, or the Marsh clients who were formerly existing and now currently being serviced by OLEA Uganda, who is their corresponding office. In spite of the amalgamation between the two companies, there's not been a break in service. It's been something that has been seamless. And when we're looking at seamless, we're looking at how we were able to have an opportunity even to transfer the data from one entity to another entity. Of course, with the understanding and of course with the background or the knowledge that we need to also be able to protect this particular data. And when we're looking at the size of business and we're looking at a brokerage firm, we're really looking at how much are we earning from the vast amounts of premium that we underwrite. And when we're looking at the size of business and with the combination of the Marsh, the ex-Marsh clients and the OLEA clients, we're looking at a business of about 5 billion Uganda shillings. And that is what we are looking at. That is the size of the clients that we're looking at. And that is in the income or the earnings that we earn. Another area that we also look into is people. And why people is because we are a growing population. And because we are a growing population, we also need solutions as sometimes solutions that are addressed particularly to employers, but also to individuals as well. whatever industry you're in, we have solutions that we can be able to tailor for you. But if we are looking into, of course, the fast-growing industries and things that we are looking into, we look into areas to do with construction, because that's something that is major. Uganda is a developing country. There's always construction that is being taken, that is taking place. We also look into the energy space as well. When you look at agriculture and insurance, it really majorly operates on large scale, or getting communities together. That is the usual and common agriculture insurance that is provided. But also as an individual, you can be able to get agriculture products as well. So when we talk about specialty, we are really looking into what would probably call complex risk or complex industries. And one of the areas that I would want to give an example on relates to areas of specialty. Would probably look into areas like aviation, areas like oil and gas, areas that relate to businesses that sit within the financial institutions, where we're looking at how these financial institutions are being affected, most especially when it comes to things to do with probably cyber attacks and changes in technology, or sometimes some things what we would call like commercial crime. So that would really sit within what we would call it as specialty or the specialty risks. When we speak about reinsurance, what we are speaking about really means that we have insurance companies, for example, and when insurance companies also themselves as entities also take up insurance. So that is what we would call a reinsurer. So on the side of reinsurance or reinsurance brokerage, when we're looking at that as OLEA, the key thing or the one thing that we are looking at in this perspective is that, especially for risks that sit within the specialty risks, the example I've given as like aviation, for instance, we'll notice that probably locally we'll not have maybe insurers taking up those kinds of policies. So what would be able to do is, of course, to try to seek outside, maybe outside Uganda, because we have some countries that are economically stronger. So probably we'll reach out to maybe countries, let's say like South Africa. They have existed longer, and of course their insurance market is at a higher level than we are. So we'll reach out to such a market to be able to provide this particular solution, which we tailor according to the client, depending, for example, say the kind of probably plane that you have. And once that is done, that is what we would call reinsurance, and accordingly to meet the regulations or local requirements that we want, would be able to also be able to comply with those and ensure that whatever solution that has been gotten, much as it is out of the market, complies locally and complies locally to ensure that we have coverage sitting or covered within a local insurance company. Okay, so some of the things that we look at probably when we are speaking into policies that can be designed, addressed, could be, let me try to split the down. We could look into property and we could look into life. And when we're looking at life, we're looking at eventualities happening. And of course, the first eventuality that will happen will be death. And how can death be addressed at that? If it's not death, then probably we'll look into probably a critical illness that has been, that someone suffers at a particular point. The policy can be able to address that. We can also be able to look into things relating to accidents or injuries that a person or an individual will be able to face. And last but not least, when we look into life, we will look into one of the things that we look at that affects our life, which relates to medical expenses. Speaking to what we are not doing, probably what we are not doing is we've had a high concentration in the areas that we believe are developed. That means probably we're looking at top cities. We look out to Kampala, Mbarara, maybe Arua, Jinja, to mention just a few. We are probably not looking out to the other areas, and we are looking at them and saying, oh, they are coming up, but there are always solutions for different kinds of people or different kinds of businesses that you can be able to speak into. I would think that is what we are not doing enough. As OLEA, it is one of our things or one of our responsibilities and one of the things that we plan to do annually to ensure that we speak into or speak out to the population about the benefits of insurance.
Uganda's gold boom overtakes coffee. Gold export revenues surged 76%. Gold officially surpassed coffee to become Uganda's leading foreign exchange earner in 2025. This change, driven by a surge in global bullion prices and increased domestic processing, signals a significant evolution in Uganda's export profile. Data from the Bank of Uganda and the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development reveals that gold export revenues soared approximately 76% to $5.8 billion in 2025, up from $3.3 billion in the previous year. This rapid expansion firmly placed the precious metal ahead of coffee, the long-standing cornerstone of Uganda's agricultural economy. While coffee exports also performed strongly, reaching a record $2.4 billion in the 12 months ending October 2025, its value was ultimately eclipsed by the gold boom. This surge in gold's value was bolstered by global prices climbing over 64% amid geopolitical tensions, which incentivized new market entrants and solidified Uganda's role as a regional refining and trading hub.